Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the cert-manager bi-weekly meeting. It's the 11th of January 2024. Happy New Year, everyone. It's just gone 5 p.m. London time. We don't have a huge amount, as far as I'm aware, this week. The agenda is quite thin, so this should be pretty quick. I have just spotted, as soon as I started talking, I spotted that the project update section requires me to check information that I don't currently have, so I'm just going to check that quickly and then I'll launch into giving that 5-minute announcement and shout out section. So the first announcement is to welcome Adam, who is the latest cert-manager maintainer, who's joined Venafi, and it's absolutely awesome to have him on board. It's always nice to have more maintainers, and Adam is incredibly talented with all manner of things Kubernetes, so it's great to have him, and he has lots of cute animals which regularly appear on camera, so that's always good too. The rest of the stuff is a bit more functional, I'll say. So first of all, the first cert-manager 1.14 alpha is either out or should be out soon. It is out, so that's good. More will be coming, betas will be coming. The testing period has well and truly begun for cert-manager 1.14. That's awesome. The release date for 1.14 was pushed back, I think, since the last bi-weekly meeting, because we had a holiday break. The release date is currently scheduled for January 31st. That's pushed back about 2 weeks, I think, or maybe 3 weeks, because of the holidays. We wanted to give people time to test it. Nothing too exciting. Like there's no extra stuff really that will happen there, but it's coming, so it's something to look forward to. I put in a graduation update quickly just before this meeting started. There's not, unfortunately, any good news to share on cert-manager's graduation. So currently, what we're essentially blocked on is finding a TOC sponsor. The TOC is a group within the CNCF who do technical oversight, and they have elections running now, like with ballots going out soon, I think. So it's actually the number of people has shrunk who are able to take anything on, and the new people won't be seated until April, as I understand it. So there is actually a very low chance that anything will progress on the graduation front until at least April. We'll give one bang in the drum if we can get anyone. That would be awesome. But certainly my expectation personally has gone from thinking that we would graduate before KubeCon Paris to thinking now that we won't. It does look good for KubeCon in Salt Lake City later this year, but we'll have to wait and see. The other announcements, I think, Tim, I didn't ask you to prepare for this, but I think probably this is your one to prepare for since you've been doing so much work on it. So I'll throw it over to you and you can ad hoc come up with something to announce.
Yes, thank you. So one thing we've been working on quite a while is we're trying to kind of uniformize, that's even a word, all the make files across all our projects. And we call this makefile modules. Basically, it's like a crazy makefile that pulls in other makefiles from other repositories and it keeps itself up to date, make sure there's no configuration drift, that kind of stuff. But in the end, it kind of, the aim is to make the developer experience the same across all these projects and also make it much easier to keep all the test dependencies, all the configuration, all up to date and the same across projects. Also, if we do like bug fixes, we fix a mistake, we should only fix it once and then that should automatically get applied to all these different projects. That's kind of the idea. It's in practice, there are quite a few things that have to be done. So all these projects have to be migrated to use this new format of makefile stuff. But we already migrated 3 projects. csi-driver Spiffy is very close to being migrated. I think it's just like one approval away. So if someone wants to take a look, feel free to do so. Trust Manager and Issue Library are also on the agenda, but there are still some unresolved challenges. But basically, the idea is that all our operators, at least, should use this library, and this will allow us to more easily upgrade, but also make changes and even start new operators. And then the second thing I would like to announce, I just saw it's only 5 minutes, so I don't have a lot of time. Second thing I would like to announce is that we migrated Google Cas Issuer, which is this issuer that was initially built by ChatStack, but maybe in the future we'll move to the cert-manager organization. We migrated that to use Issue Library, which is this library that we built to more easily build issuers. That hasn't been released yet, so there's no release using it yet, but the master branch has been updated. And this is just a start, I think. Hopefully in the future we will migrate more issuers and we will more widely use this library. And that's it.
Thanks very much. Yeah, to say you didn't have time to prepare for that was excellent. The CAS issuer moving to issuer lib is awesome as well. Like that's gonna issuer lib really is the future. I feel, and having more things using it is going to be awesome. So that's the announcements and shout outs done. Unless anyone else has any announcements they want to make last second. Nope. So I snuck in at the top of the agenda just now with a couple of quick questions about KubeCon Paris and how we want to plan for that. This doesn't have to be a long discussion. There's not much here. So there are two things, two open questions that I have when I'm signing up for our kiosk at KubeCon Paris. One is that we're offered public relations support for an upcoming release or feature announcement. I don't really know what the CNCF are offering there, but public relations sounds good. Like getting people more familiar with things that we're doing sounds good. Does anyone have any ideas of anything we might be able to announce then? Any suggestions? We don't have to make this decision now. I'll probably delay submitting this form until tomorrow at this point. But does anyone have any ideas of features that we might want to announce by KubeCon Paris? I suppose cert-manager 114 is a thing we could announce. It doesn't have to be now. We have a Slack channel that you can also post things in, right? But the idea is out there. The other thing is that we have a lightning talk opportunity. So the project meetings in Chicago were not successful at all. We just all sat in a room and ate chips and dips at the cert-manager one. That's now been replaced by tables that you can just book out ahead of time, and that's fine if you want it. They also are doing project lightning talks on Tuesday before the main conference starts. I suppose if anyone has any ideas for what we might present, maybe it's just a project update very quickly. I suppose this is more of an announcement, actually. I could have put it in the last section. But if anyone has any ideas, if you're going to be at KubeCon Paris, now's the time to think about it. I'll share this more widely as well and get feedback.
Yeah, I'll get my thinking cap on. I haven't got anything. I'm struggling to think of anything to say now, but
yeah,
there's lots of new stuff in the 1.14 release, so we can perhaps there's something we could talk about from that.
For sure. I'm wondering as well. We kind of announced it a bit in Chicago, but we didn't make a big song and dance about it. But I think cert-manager 112 being long-term support and supported by Devil is something we should bang the drum harder about. I think that really is a thing that will increase confidence. Maybe it's that.
Like the results from our security audits, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, now we're thinking. Yeah,
I think we can probably. I'm not sure what you have to submit, Ash, but I feel like we can probably say we probably want to do the lightning talk and the other thing that I just forgot. Sorry, was something else that you
The
asked for?
public relations support.
Yeah, the PR support. I think both seem very useful options that we probably will be able to use.
Yep. Well, I will endeavour to request them there, but I'll wait until tomorrow at this point and just give more people a chance to respond. We're not committing to anything too major. So yeah, that's all I had on that. The next and final thing at the moment on the agenda is Vinny. Did you want to introduce us to what you've put here?
Hey, yeah. So there's that issue on GitHub for the csi-driver. I was going to bring it up in the Slack channel, but since I was going to be here today, I figured I'd mention it here and see if other people have run into this scenario. So we use the csi-driver for running HashiCorp Vault in a Kubernetes cluster. And we've ran into this weird situation where on random occasions, the Vault pod will get stuck in a terminating state. Still trying to dig into why, and I came across this issue, and I was curious if anyone had potentially seen it. I was, again, gonna post it in Slack and see if a wider community had come across it. Not much action on the issue itself, and it's old, but I was, thought I'd bring it up and see if I'd have any luck here to start.
Could you share the issue?
Oh,
again?
yes.
Maybe you already did.
It's in the doc, but also here is the issue here. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
This is so old that it makes me think, like, it makes me hopeful that they could just, like, an upgraded version may just fix this magically.
Yeah.
But I suspect that's not the case. I don't think I've experienced this.
Okay.
But a lot of the way I would test this is by doing like end-to-end tests that install things on kind clusters, and it might not run long enough to cause this. Like that's not necessarily representative of a real-world use case.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like my team doesn't personally own the Vault infrastructure that actually integrates with the csi-driver. So like by the time people message me, it's already well come and gone. So it's kind of like I have to try to pick up the pieces after the fact. So yeah, I'll probably continue investigating. It could be something else. It could be the Vault side. Who you never.
Finalizers. Always check for finalizers lingering and what they're.
Yeah. It seems like in our scenario, it seems like, if I remember correctly, on the underlying, what was it? The pod exists in Kubernetes, but on the underlying node, it's gone. I think is what we've run into. And I'm trying to piece together anything of like, is the like did something not get cleaned up and it's like stuck, or is it like Kubernetes is freaking out and not quite sure why it's getting like lost or like abandoned. So
and it calls mount and unmount, and maybe that's the sort of thing that could hang.
Yeah. That was my next potential thing. The first thing we looked at was like there's the lifecycle hooks, like the pre-stop lifecycle hook, and we thought maybe there was a weird timing thing with that. But I think yeah, we'll see. So I'll probably post this in the Slack channel, I guess, to bring more awareness, and then I might do some digging myself. But wanted to
maybe also
check.
A good idea is to ask this question on csi-lib, which is kind of the library used to build csi-driver. I feel like this could be an issue with that library instead of with the driver specifically.
That would be this one here.
I'm just saying that because I think maybe other people are looking at that repository than csi-driver. Like they might be looking at that one instead of csi-driver.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, it's a good call out. Thank you.
There is I remember there is some stuff around like taking a long time to issue a certificate and then that hangs the startup. But shutdown, I'm not sure, because that shouldn't take long, right? Just remove everything, kind of.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. But Okay, at least I have some more things to dig into. And then I guess as far as like if I'm, would those fall under the cert-manager Slack channel, or is there like a separate one for the CSI, or is that the?
I think that's the place to go. Yeah,
Okay.
cert manager dev as well. If you're actually working on fixing this or investigating this.
Okay.
But anything you find is going to be helpful, I'm sure.
Cool. Sounds
Great.
good. Thanks for the tips.
Sounds like we've got a plan. Yeah, it's good to know that you're using csi-driver as well. There's going to be most likely an alpha version of it coming out soon. Now that it's changed to using its makefile modules, if you're able to test that at all, like, no pressure. But if you get the chance, it'd be great to see if everything's still working. Nothing should change, but it'd be great any testing we can get.
Yeah, for sure. We'll keep an eye on it.
Thanks very much. Brilliant. So I feel like that bit's come to a close. The agenda is now empty. It's only 5:20, so plenty of time yet for a last-minute agenda item to fill up the last 40 minutes, if anyone has anything.
I've now got access to Azure, so I'm keen to disappear and go and do some testing. I've got access to Azure, which allows me to test cert-manager on Azure and get Tim's Azure SDK PR merged, possibly. And then I'll do the alpha tomorrow, the next alpha version of cert-manager 1.14 tomorrow.
Excellent.
I made the codes work and the tests work, but I haven't tried it on Azure, so you might find some weirdness still.
Yeah, it's like exactly 1 year since I wrote that tutorial, and I've forgotten everything I learned. Felt like this time last January I was quite good with Azure, and now I'm back to square one.
Yeah, it's quite complex because actually, well, I think the API wasn't very well documented. I think that the website was probably better. Let me quickly add something. There's this one option that's like a Boolean option, and it says something about being trusted or secure. So I put it on false, that option, because otherwise it starts contacting login.microsoft.com or something like that. So for the test to succeed, I put that option on false, but I'm not sure if that's like the most secure option. So it might even work, but I'm not sure if it's like the most secure option. I actually added a comment there.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was going to ping one of the experts to chime in on that, but I haven't yet.
Disable instance discovery. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I mean, I feel like it's probably gonna work, and it will be great improvements because we will get rid of all these deprecated libraries. But there might be still something.
And I'm tempted just to merge it and then put the alpha out and let these Azure people test it that way.
Yeah, because one of the people reviewing this, they said
Pink
like,
Floyd,
"Oh, I want to
something or other, wasn't it? Yeah. A user called Pink Floyd wants to test it, but needs access to the images, so perhaps that's the way to go.
Yeah. Okay. One more thing to talk about. There's this PR that I created to simplify the webhook by switching webhook to controller runtime. It's like this PR where I remove 2,000 lines of code and replace it with 400 lines of code, or 2,400 and replace it with 400 lines of code. Basically, I remove all the upgrades, like the conversion webhook logic. I can remove all of that, and I start using this control runtime stuff. I also removed like this injection. I mean, it was a whole framework, but it's pretty complex and pretty a lot of boilerplate code, basically. Tests aren't passing, but I think like they are passing for me locally last time I checked. So I think there's something with like difference between versions with CMCTL and cert-manager, if that makes sense. Yeah, I was just kind of thinking, are we okay with removing all the conversion webhook logic since it's not used anymore, actually?
I mean, it's not going to disappear from Git history, is it? So we can always refer back to it later when we need to convert again. There's no point having logic that isn't used.
Yeah, I think that's true, yeah. Because also controller runtime allows you to kind of inject your own custom logic. It's not that you have to use like specifically their
You don't have to use conversion gen. You can just write a hub and spoke shim, I think.
Well, I mean, it's conversion gen. What's that?
That's the generator that Kubernetes uses to generate all the version generation, the version conversion code.
Ah, okay.
There's easily generated conversion files.
I think we are actually using the Kubernetes ones instead of the controller runtime ones.
You're still using that for the config file. You're converting that from the version that you've provided to an internal version, I guess, with the idea being that we could then have multiple versions of config file we support.
Yeah, and it also like applies some defaults and that kind of stuff. It's quite cool actually to have like an internal version, because the public version can be a pointer and then the internal one can be a non-pointer field.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing actually that I think is cool about it.
It does generate a lot of headaches sometimes when you try and actually use it.
Yeah, and about conversion gen or the Kubernetes alternative, I'm not sure if it's all the same. We also have like still all the old cert-manager APIs in the repository, and there is like some logic, some round-trip logic to, I think, make sure that we don't make backwards incompatible changes. But I've seen that a lot of these changes where we add new fields, they just add it to all the different versions because it's a pain to get the round tripping to work.
Yeah, if you add a new field to all your versions, then you can rely on the fact that the only change in the versions is the API version, and Kubernetes can just change that for you, whatever API version you request. And that's how like Gateway API works. Whatever version you request, it's just changing the version at the top. If you do make substantial changes, that's when you have to make conversion webhooks, and that's where it becomes less fun. Though maybe this won't be a problem by the time they actually change APIs, because I think there's a proposal to use Cell for being able to convert between versions.
Right. So, but this PR is mostly, so it has nothing to do with conversion gen.
Yeah.
To be clear, it's like mostly about the conversion webhook.
Yeah.
So there was some logic in there basically to serve the conversion webhook endpoints to decode any kind of incoming resources, then convert a resource to this internal type, and then convert it back to this other type, and lots of other crazy things like defaulting and undoing default or something like that. I don't fully remember, but all that stuff, I just removed it because we actually are not using it anymore. And like you're saying, Adam, maybe in the future, if we do like V2, we can use CL, hopefully. And we don't have to write our conversion webhook anymore. Another interesting thing is that recently we made this change to the webhooks where we set a max length for the body that we receive. Control runtime didn't have this yet. I created PR to add it to control runtime. That has been merged, but it hasn't been released. So actually, we cannot merge this PR until we upgrade the control runtime version to new version. Otherwise, we'll have like what do you say? Like we'll go back in time. And, there's a word for that.
Regression.
Regression, indeed. I didn't add regression tests in cert-manager for this because I was actually thinking that control runtime will do this for us in the future. But yeah. Anyway. Okay, just kind of a heads up. I think in the future this will become interesting and we can do this migration probably.
Yeah, it's a super cool PR. I like the idea of getting away from some of our more custom controller logic, webhook logic, and using controller runtime more. At the end of the day, it should be it's sufficient for most things. Only downside is it's likely to all break in the next couple of months because that's what controller runtime seems to do.
It gives you a lot of benefits though, so
yeah, for sure. You get something for the pain of maintaining it.
Yeah. And it could be that it's maybe my PR in the future that will break control runtime because I want to do some refactoring on their end.
Yeah, cool. I'm guessing that's absolutely zero chance of that merging before cert-manager 1.14, but 1.15, that's a decent target.
Yeah, but the Azure SDK, we want to try to merge that for 1.14.
Fair enough.
Yes, yeah, I think so. Yes.
All right.
Brilliant.
That's everything, right?
Yeah, I think it is. Unless anyone has anything else, just come to mind.